Hello students, so here we are in zoology class. We are going to continue learning regarding the immunity concept today also. In our previous class students, we have learnt regarding what is immunity, what is the immune system we have learnt about innate and acquired immunities, active and passive immunities, right. So in today's class we are going to learn more about the immune system only. So we are now going to start learning about vaccination and immunization, okay. We are going to learn about vaccination and immunization. Vaccination or immunization is the same students. Vaccination and immunization is the same. So vaccination, it is based on the property of vaccination students. Vaccination, it is based on the property of the memory of the immune system. It is based on the property of the memory of immune system, okay. That means vaccination is based on the property of the immune system, that is memory. We have already studied students, our immune system will have memory, okay. Based on this property of our immune system, we are going with vaccination. So in vaccination, what is done in vaccination? In vaccination, you know, we give a preparation of antigens from the pathogen, okay. During vaccination, a preparation of antigens from the pathogen or inactivated, okay. Inactivated means the disease causing organism is killed. Inactivated means killed or weakened. That means the harmfulness of that particular pathogen will be removed. That is weakened. Inactivated or weakened pathogen, okay. So during vaccination, a preparation of antigens from the pathogen or inactivated or weakened pathogen. Inactivated means killed. Weakened means the harmfulness of that particular pathogen is reduced. So inactivated or weakened pathogen is taken. During vaccination, a preparation of antigens from the pathogen or inactivated or weakened pathogen is taken and it is given to a person, okay, and this is given to a person. So when inactivated antigen or weakened pathogen or antigens from the pathogen are given to any person, then against this antibodies will be produced in the body. Against all these antibodies will be produced in the body. Antibodies will be produced in the body of the person who is taking any of these, okay. Any person, if he is taking any of these, then antibodies will be produced in the body. Here, because we are taking antigens from the pathogens or in small amounts or inactivated or weakened pathogen, they won't cause any disease to us. They won't cause any disease to us, okay. And our antibodies will remove these disease causing things from our body. And also students, memory, this is important, memory B cells and memory T cells will be produced. This is important, okay. Memory B cells and memory T cells will be produced in our body, okay. Antibodies will be produced in our body, they will remove all of these. And also in addition to antibodies, memory B cells and memory T cells are also produced, okay. So when memory B cells and memory D cells are produced, these cells will have that memory or against which antigen or against which pathogen that immunological response was created, they will have that memory, okay. And again, if the same disease causing organism, if the same pathogen or if the same antigen is coming into our body in the further times. Okay, if the same antigen or the same disease causing organism is coming into our body in the future, then immediately these memory B cells and memory T cells will be produced. Memory B cells and memory T cells, whatever were produced during vaccination, these memory B cells and memory T cells, they will get immediately activated, and very quick immune responses will be generated. Okay, during next attack of the pathogen, okay, the memory B and T cells will identify the pathogen, okay, then very quick and very high intensity response is generated. Very quick and very high intensity responses will be generated. Very quick and very high intensity responses will be generated. They remove these responses, remove the pathogen out of our body, okay. They will, pathogens or whatever the pathogen or antigen, if it is coming into our body, these immediate immune responses, they will remove the pathogen out of the body. They protect our body. These responses, they protect the body. These responses, they will protect the body. So the main intention behind giving vaccination is to prevent any disease. Okay, main intention behind giving vaccine is to prevent any disease. Nowadays we have vaccines for many diseases, students. We have vaccination against polio, influenza, we have vaccination against measles, rubella, mumps. Okay, we have vaccination against different diseases. So these all vaccinations are taken so that before infection, before we come across the natural infection only, our antibodies will be produced in the body, and whenever we are coming across that disease causing organism, immediately our antibodies which were already produced in our body, so that is why memory B cells and memory T cells will be produced in the body. These memory B cells, memory T cells, they will identify the pathogen against which our body has got immunized. Our body has produced the antibodies against which already they will memorize it, they will recall that antigen, they will produce immune responses very fastly, quick immune responses will be produced, so that before that pathogen is affecting our body only, it will be removed from our body and our body will be protected from that particular disease. Okay, this is vaccination or immunization, developing immunity against any disease causing organism. Okay, so this is about vaccination or immunization, students. But sometimes, we will be coming across some pathogens or some antigens for which our body needs a quick response, for which we need to give a quick response. At that time, every time it is not possible that and we have to be vaccinated. Sometimes some diseases, they need quick response. So for that reason, immediately some already formed antibodies from any person will be taken and they will be donated to whoever needs it. Let us learn regarding that concept also. What happens, our body needs very quick immune responses. What happens if our body needs very quick immune responses? What should be done? Let us learn now in the same concept. So students, as I have told you, what should be done by the body when we need quick immune responses sometimes due to some exposure to pathogens, we need very quick immune responses, as in case of tetanus, Tetanus is such a disease which needs very quick immune response, or in case of a snake bite, snake bite, what can be done? Okay, in case of such diseases where quick immune responses are needed, or in cases like snake bite also quick responses should be given by the body. In that cases we give already formed, pre-formed antibodies. Okay, already formed antibodies, we will take it from somewhere and we will give to those individuals. Already formed antibodies in case of any diseases like tetanus, and we gave antitoxins in case of snake bite. We gave antitoxins in case of snake bite. Antitoxins means they are the antibodies against the venom of the snake. Okay, antitoxins means they are the antibodies against the toxins of the snake. Snake, when it is biting us, it will release some venom, some toxic substances into our body. So these antitoxins are the antibodies against the venom of the snake. So during infections, during diseases like tetanus or during snake bite, whenever immune responses should be very quick, then already formed, pre-formed antibodies or antitoxins will be given to the individual. And because here we are giving already formed antibodies to the individual, here we are performing passive immunization. This is passive immunization. Okay, so the students, this is passive immunization. Passive because we are transferring the already formed antibodies to the individual, and that is providing immunity against that particular disease or against that particular snake bite. That is why it is called as passive immunization. Okay, so students, this is all about vaccination and immunization. So vaccination means what? To protect against any disease, we are producing antibodies in our body before only. How is this antibodies produced? By taking a preparation of antigens of the pathogen or inactivated or weakened antigen. Antigen from the pathogen or inactivated or weakened pathogen only we are taking, and as a result antibodies will be produced against that particular antigen or pathogen, and memory B cells and T cells will be produced, and the next time whenever we are coming across that same pathogen, then the memory T cells, memory B cells, they will get activated, produce quick immune responses. Very quickly antibodies will be produced for the second time. Okay, in massively, very quickly antibodies will be produced for the second time. And some cases where we need quick immune responses, like in case of diseases like tetanus or during snake bite, already formed antibodies, pre-formed antibodies or antitoxins means antibodies against the toxic substances, because snake bite releases venom into our body. So antitoxins are given to the person which will protect them against that particular disease causing pathogen. Okay, so students, this is an example for passive immunization, where we are trying to provide immunity to the person by giving already formed antibodies. Okay, now students, let us learn regarding one more thing about vaccination or immunization. So students, how we are going to obtain these antigens of the pathogens, how we are going to obtain these antigens, because everybody needs vaccination, everybody needs to be immunized, right? So by utilizing rDNA technology, recombinant DNA technology, in short formally called rDNA technology. Okay, by using rDNA technology, recombinant DNA technology, we can produce how many ever number of antigens we want to produce, how much ever quantity of antigens we want to produce, we can produce by using rDNA technology. Okay, antigens required in desired quantities can be produced. Antigens required can be produced in desired quantities, can be produced in desired quantities in bacteria or yeast. In bacteria or in the bodies of yeast, how many ever antigens we require, that many can be produced. So the main intention behind using rDNA technology for producing antigens in required amounts is to provide vaccination or immunization to all the people. This is the main intention to use rDNA technology in producing antigens. Okay, so we have hepatitis B vaccine, which is produced in yeast. Okay, hepatitis B antigens, they are produced in yeast. Okay, so this is an example for vaccines produced during using rDNA technology. So students, with this we finished to learn completely about the vaccinization and immunization. Let us learn now regarding another topic. So students, now we are going to learn about allergens. Okay. So students, you know, if whenever you are being to a new place, whenever you are just going to a new place, sometimes what will be happening, we will be sneezing continuously or we will be wheezing. Okay. We will be sneezing or wheezing. Wheezing is nothing but it feels like there is some blockage in the nose, and when we are breathing, no, it gives a noise. Okay, when we are breathing and breathing out, it will give a noise. So such noisy breathing is called as wheezing. So whenever we are going into a new place, we will be sneezing or wheezing. Okay, and sometimes we will have runny nose or watery eyes also. Why is that happening when we are going into new places? Why is that happening when we are going into new places? What is the response that happened in our body? And whenever we are coming out of that particular place, whatever symptoms which we have shown in the new place will all disappear immediately when we are coming back out of the new place. So what is the reason behind subsiding of those symptoms when we are coming out of that new environment? It is because, see, whenever we are going into new environment, there will be different types of substances in the new environment. Different types of antigens can be present, different types of pollen can be present. Okay, and we might be exposed to different other substances to which we are not familiar. Okay, whenever we are going into a new environment, we will be exposed to those substances to which we are not familiar. Okay, it can be anything like animal dandruff, or it can be anything like pollen, or it can be anything like dust also. Okay, so students, that whatever has happened to us there is actually allergy. Okay, whatever happened to us in the new environment is actually allergy. So let me define allergy even more clearly. Allergy is the exaggerated response of the immune system. Okay, allergy is the exaggerated response of the immune system to certain antigens present in the environment. Okay, allergy means it is the exaggerated response of the immune system to certain antigens present in the environment. Okay, it is the exaggerated response. Exaggerated means over response of the immune system to the certain antigens present in the environment. Okay, so against whichever antigens this immune system is responding, against whatever antigens that immune system is responding are called as allergens. Against which antigens the immune responses are created, are called allergens. Okay, they are called as allergens. Okay, against which antigens the immune responses are created are called as allergens. Okay, the main type of antibodies responsible for allergic reactions are immunoglobulin E. This is the main type of antibody responsible for generating the immune responses. Okay, so students, these allergens, they can be anything like pollen or dust mites or animal dander also. Animal dander means animal dandruff also. Okay, what happens during this allergies? It can cause watery eyes, running nose, sneezing, wheezing, or also difficulty in breathing. Okay, these are all the symptoms of allergy. Watery eyes, running nose, sneezing, wheezing, difficulty in breathing, these are all the different symptoms of allergies. Okay, so students, this is about allergy. What did we learn about allergy? It is the exaggerated response of the immune system to certain antigens present in the environment. Okay, so against which antigens the immune responses are created are called as allergens. And what are the antibodies involved in generating allergies? Antibody E, immunoglobulin E, is responsible for allergic reactions. What are allergens examples? Pollen, dust mites or animal dander are the examples for allergens. The symptoms found during allergies is watery eyes, running nose, sneezing, wheezing, difficulty in breathing. Okay, so students, how do we identify if against which antigen our body is producing these allergic responses? Okay, so how can we identify against which our body is producing allergic responses? We can identify against which antigen our body is producing immune responses by taking some small quantities of the possible allergens. We take some small quantities of the possible allergens and we inject these possible allergens into the body of the patient. Okay, we will inject these allergens, whatever possible allergens, we take them into small samples, we will inject it to the person whoever is affected with allergies, and we will check against which antigen he is producing immune responses. In that way, by giving some different samples of allergens, we can identify if against which antigen this particular person is producing allergies. Okay, so the main reason behind producing allergens is due to histamine. Okay, due to histamine and serotonin. Okay, these two substances, they are produced from the mast cells. These two substances, they are produced from the mast cells and they will be responsible for allergies. Okay, histamine and serotonin are produced from the mast cells and they are responsible for allergies. And these allergies, then they can be quickly reduced by taking antihistamine and adrenaline and some steroids. They quickly reduce allergies. Okay, antihistamine, adrenaline and some steroids, by taking all one of these things, they will quickly reduce allergies. Okay, so students, nowadays because of the increasing pollution, because of the increasing changes in the quality of the environment, these allergies have become quite common in the human population, and particularly in children, allergies and asthma is very commonly found in children. The reason for this can be because of the increased care taken during the early childhood, because of lack of proper exposure into the environment. Okay, this could be the reasons for allergies in the children. But one thing is very clear, that these days allergies are increasing, particularly in the children. The reasons can be pollution or lack of exposure to the environment. Okay, so this is all about allergen, students. So those points which have to be noted very clearly for NEET is, what is allergy, what are allergens, antibodies which are causing allergic responses. Whatever I have written on the board here are important NEET points. Whatever I am just saying orally, they are just the things that we need to know. Okay. So pollen, dust and dust mites and animal dander are causing allergies. Symptoms of allergies. The chemicals called histamine and serotonin produced from the mast cells are responsible for allergens. And what can reduce allergies? Antihistamine, adrenaline and steroids can reduce allergies. Okay. So students, whatever I am writing on the board, they are all the important points. Okay. Whatever I will be writing on the board, they are all important points. Please note down. Now this is all about allergens, students. Let us learn regarding the next concept now. So students, the next concept we are learning is autoimmunity. Okay. One of the very good power to our immune system is, one of the very good power to the immune system is, it has memory. Okay. Our immune system, it has memory. Okay. Our immune system, it has memory. And other thing is, our immune system, it can very clearly differentiate between self and non-self. Our immune system can clearly differentiate between self and non-self. Okay, that means our immune system can identify if which substance belongs to our body and which substance does not belong to our body. That can be easily identified by our immune system. And our immune system, it also has memory. Okay. So students, the immune system, it will generally, the immune system will generally respond against the foreign molecules or the foreign organisms only. Okay, our immune system, it will generally respond against the foreign molecules and the foreign organisms only. Okay, but sometimes, very rarely, due to some genetic disorders, okay, due to some genetic disorders or for some other reasons, okay, or for some other reasons, our body's immune cells, they will identify our own body's components as foreign. Okay, sometimes due to genetic disorders or due to some other reasons, our body's immune system will identify our own body's components to be foreign. Okay, our body's immune system will identify our own components to be foreign. Okay, మనవే మన బాడీకే బిలాంగ్ అవుతాయి, కానీ కొన్నిసార్లు మన ఇమ్యూన్ సిస్టమ్ వాటిని ఫారిన్ లాగా అనుకుంటుంది. Okay, it will think that our own body's components are foreign and it will start to respond against it. Okay, it will, and our immune system, it will try to attack our own body. Okay, our immune system, it will recognize some of our own body's components to be foreign, and it will attack against our own body, it will again attack on our own body. So such kind of immunity of our body on our own body is called as autoimmunity. Okay, we can define it simply as it is such condition where our own immune system is identifying some of our body's components to be foreign and start to attack them. Okay, so here our body's immune system is attacking our own body. This kind of immunity is called as autoimmunity. It will result in some disorders also, students. It will result in some disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, myasthenia gravis, Graves' disease. So students, these are some of the examples for autoimmune diseases: rheumatoid arthritis, myasthenia gravis, Graves' disease. Okay, these are all the examples for some of the autoimmune diseases. So one thing can be, all the points whatever I have written on the board are the things to be noted, that our immune system has memory, it can differentiate between self and non-self. Our immune system will respond only against foreign molecules and foreign organisms. But due to genetic disorders or some other reasons, our body's immune system will identify our own components to be foreign and it will attack our own body, resulting in disorders. That is autoimmunity. Examples for autoimmune disorders are rheumatoid arthritis, myasthenia gravis, Graves' disease. Okay, so this is all about autoimmunity, students. The next concept that we are going to learn is immune system in the body. Immune system in the body. See ma, our immune system consists of different components, like immune system consists of lymphoid organs. Lymphoid organs. Okay, our immune system consists of lymphoid organs, tissues, cells, and also dissolved antibodies. Okay, our immune system will consist of lymphoid organs, tissues, cells, and dissolved antibodies. Okay, our immune system is responsible for protecting our body against the foreign microorganisms or any foreign antigens. Okay, immune system protects us from foreign microorganisms or foreign antigens. Okay, it is also involved in autoimmune disorders. It was also involved in causing autoimmune disorders. It is also important during transplantations. Okay, it is also important during transplantations. Okay ma, so even our immune system, it has memory, as I have already told you. It will generate the immune responses and it will also remember against which it has generated immune responses. Okay, the immune system, it has memory, it will generate immune responses and it will also remember against which it has generated the immune response. Okay, so students, in this topic we will be learning in detail about the lymphoid organs. Okay, lymphoid organs are the places where origin, maturation and proliferation of the lymphocytes occurs. is called as lymphoid organs. Okay, lymphoid organs are those places where origin, maturation and proliferation of the lymphocytes occurs is called as lymphoid organs. Okay, so depending upon the three different activities in the lymphoid organs, they are classified into two types. There are two types of lymphoid organs. Origin means they will be produced there. Maturation means they will grow. Proliferation means multiplication. Okay, so origin, maturation and proliferation of the lymphocytes occur in lymphoid organs. They are of two types. That is, the first one, primary lymphoid organs, and secondary lymphoid organs. Primary and secondary lymphoid organs. Now students, we have to learn in detail regarding the primary and secondary lymphoid organs. Okay. First we will learn about the primary lymphoid organs. Okay. So, Sima, primary lymphoid organs are those places, to simply say, primary lymphoid organs are those places where immature lymphocytes are converted into mature lymphocytes. Okay, primary lymphoid organs are the places where immature lymphocytes are converted into mature lymphocytes. Okay. So, students, actually these immature lymphocytes are converted into mature lymphocytes in the primary lymphoid organs. We can still completely explain it as, in the primary lymphoid organs, lymphoid stem cells will develop into mature lymphocytes. Okay, these are the places, primary lymphoid organs are the places where the lymphoid stem cells will develop into mature lymphocytes. Okay, so the primary lymphoid organs in our body are bone marrow and thymus. Okay, bone marrow and thymus are the primary lymphoid organs in our body. Okay. So, students, bone marrow, we all know what is bone marrow. The part which is present inside our long bones is bone marrow. Okay. In this bone marrow only, all types of blood cells will be formed. Okay. All types of blood cells will be formed in the bone marrow only, and we all know that lymphocytes are also one of the type of blood cells. So, students, lymphocytes are also formed from the bone marrow. Lymphocyte cells are also formed from the bone marrow. Okay. And thymus, thymus is a small it's small organ which is located just above the heart, below the breastbone. Okay, it is located just above the heart and below the breastbone, just below the breastbone. Thymus is important in differentiation of lymphocytes. It is important in differentiation of lymphocytes into T and it is important in the differentiation of lymphocytes. Thymus is present just above the heart, below the breastbone. It is important in the differentiation of lymphocytes. Generally, thymus gland, it will be very small at birth, fully grown during the adult stages. Again, with the age after becoming adult, when the age is growing more, then this thymus gland, it will again become small. So, in the young ages, thymus is small. In the middle age, thymus will be growing and it will become very big. okay, and in the old age it will again become small, okay. During young age it will be very small, it will grow slowly, become big in the middle age, and again in the old ages it will again become small, okay. That is why, you know, students, in the young children and in the old people, the immune system is very weak, because the thymus gland is small in the young and old, immune system is very weak in the young and old, okay. So students, this is about primary lymphoid organs. Primary lymphoid organs are the places where immature lymphocytes are converted into mature lymphocyte. That is, lymphoid stem cells are converted into mature lymphocytes. There are two primary lymphoid organs, bone marrow and thymus. From bone marrow only all types of blood cells will be forming. Even lymphocytes form from the bone marrow. Thymus is just a gland present above the heart, below the breastbone. Here in this thymus, differentiation of lymphocytes occurs, and in the young stages thymus is small, it will be growing big in the middle age, and again when this old age, this will again decrease in size. So it will be increasing in size, reaching a proper size, and again it will be decreasing in size, okay. This is regarding the thymus gland. So now students, with this we finish to learn about the primary lymphoid organs completely. Now we need to learn secondary lymphoid organs. Secondary lymphoid organs. To simply define, secondary lymphoid organs are those places where the mature lymphocytes get converted into functional lymphocytes. These are the places where mature lymphocytes converted into functional lymphocytes, okay. And these lymphocytes in these secondary lymphoid organs only, they will get differentiated, okay. They will get in the secondary lymphoid organs only these functional lymphocytes, they will proliferate and form effector cells, okay. In the secondary lymphoid organs, mature lymphocytes are converted into functional lymphocytes. These are the places where functional lymphocytes proliferate and form the effector cells. Effector cells are those cells which give the effect of the immune system, okay. Effector cells are those cells which give the effect of the immune response, okay. And the secondary lymphoid organs are the places where the lymphocytes interact with antigens. These are the places where the lymphocytes interact with antigens. These are the places where the lymphocytes interact with the antigens, okay. Now the secondary lymphoid organs are spleen, lymph nodes, tonsils, appendix, Peyer's patches in the small intestine, okay. These are the secondary lymphoid organs, students. Spleen, lymph nodes, tonsils, appendix, Peyer's patches in the small intestine, okay. So let us learn few of them in detail. Spleen, it's a lobed structure, okay, which is present below the diaphragm, in the abdomen, towards the left side, okay. It is a lobed structure present below the diaphragm towards the left side, okay. Spleen is a lobed structure present below the diaphragm in the abdomen towards the left side, okay. So students, spleen contains lymphocytes and phagocytes. Spleen contains lymphocytes and phagocytes. Spleen filters the blood. Spleen filters the blood. Spleen filters the blood. Okay ma? Spleen will filter the blood. It spleen consists of erythrocytes are killed. Okay, particularly the old and worn out erythrocytes are killed in the spleen. Okay, spleen is a lobed structure present below the diaphragm in the abdomen towards the left side of the body. It contains lymphocytes and phagocytes. It will filter the blood and it filters the blood for any microorganisms present in the blood. Okay, it checks if there are any microorganisms present in the blood. It filters the old and worn out red blood cells, and these worn out red blood cells are killed in the spleen. That is why spleen is called as the graveyard of red blood cells. That is why spleen is called the graveyard of red blood cells. Okay. So, this is all about the spleen, students. Now, we need to learn about the lymph nodes. Now, we shall learn about the lymph nodes. Students, lymph nodes are solid structures which are present distributed in the entire body. Solid structures distributed throughout the body. Okay, they are solid structures which are distributed throughout the body. Okay. These are solid structures distributed throughout the body. They are present in the lymphatic system. Okay, they are present in the lymphatic system. They trap microorganisms and antigens. They trap microorganisms and antigens. Okay, when they are trapping microorganisms and antigens, what happens? The lymphocytes will be activated. Lymphocytes are activated. Okay, they trap microorganisms and antigens in the lymph, and lymphocytes will be activated because of microorganisms and antigens. Lymphocytes are activated. Okay, when the lymphocytes are activated, immune responses are generated. Immune responses are generated. Okay, this is about the lymph nodes. They are solid structures distributed throughout the body in the lymphatic system. They trap the microorganisms and antigens. As a result, lymphocytes are activated and immune responses are generated. Okay ma? So now even in our body, distributed in the different body parts, like in the digestive system, in the gastrointestinal tract, or in the urinogenital ducts, in the respiratory passages. Okay, in these different parts like gastrointestinal tract, urinogenital ducts, and in the respiratory passages, there is one more type of lymphoid tissue distributed called mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. Okay, this is also a secondary lymphoid tissue which constitutes nearly 50% of the total lymphoid tissue. Okay, the gastrointestinal tracts, urinogenital ducts, respiratory passages, also there is a type of lymphoid tissue called mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. It forms nearly 50% of the total lymphoid tissue. Okay ma? So now students, with this we finished to learn regarding the complete lymphatic organs. We finished learning regarding the immune system in our body. We learned that there are immune organs are present, cells are present, tissues are present, antibodies are present in our immune system, and we have learnt in detail regarding the lymphoid organs. Primary lymphoid organs, where immature lymphocytes are converted into mature lymphocytes like bone marrow and thymus. Secondary lymphoid organs, where mature lymphocytes are converted into functional lymphocytes producing effector cells. This is secondary lymphoid organs. Examples for the secondary lymphoid organs we have studied: spleen, lymph nodes, appendix, tonsils, Peyer's patches, and also we have studied about mucosa associated lymphoid tissue, which constitutes nearly 50% of the total lymphoid tissue in our body. Okay. So students, with this we finished to complete regarding few concepts in our immune system. In the next class we will learn about one disorder clearly related to the immune system. So this is all for today students. We will meet tomorrow with the same topic. We will need to learn few more concepts related to immune system. We will learn regarding the few more concepts in the immune system in the next class. Thank you all for joining today's class. I will meet you all in the next class. Thank you all.